What's happening, everybody? Welcome into the Pack a Day podcast. I'm your host, Andy Herman. You can follow me on Twitter, as always, at Andy Herman NFL. And we've had another fairly interesting / busy 24 hours in the land of the Green Bay Packers. And of course, a little bit over 24 hours ago, this kind of all kicked off with Rodgers and Davante Adams posting simultaneous images of the last dance on their Instagram profiles, which is just, of course, right? Like, there have been multiple mentions of the Packers doing a last dance sort of themed season with Rodgers and, everyone kind of coming back for one season and then trying to figure out everything a year from now. This whole situation, we have a lot to get to, but I'm going to start here. This whole situation is so just unbelievable at this point. First and foremost, the thing that should be noted maybe more than anything here is that if Rodgers and Adams really do say, hey, let's do one more year, one last chance at winning a Super Bowl with the Packers, let's do this together, last dance, all in for one season, they're giving the Packers exactly what they wanted for the most part. I think there's a good chance that the Packers wanted Adams a little bit more long term, but the Packers did everything leading into this offseason to go all in 2021. And then 2022 was going to have to be some level of nuclear. Like, it just was going to have to be. And now there's ways to make concessions and to push things out further, but it would have gotten really ugly really fast from a financial standpoint. And because of everything that happened with the salary cap going down and COVID happening and everything like that, mixed in with trying to go all in this year, mixed in with the fact that their finances are brutal next year, the whole reason why Rodgers and Adams to an extent are unhappy is because I'm sure they wanted the reassurances that they were going to be Packers for life and this entire thing to be handled differently. And again, where Rodgers talks about taking care of the people, well, the Packers really made a decision that they were going to try to win in 2021, and we'll figure out the rest later. But when you start putting the tea leaves together and trying to read them, Aaron Rodgers, Davante Adams is looking at the future finances and looking at the contracts and saying, this isn't going to work. Like, you're going to have to release a bunch of us, and you just took care of David Bakhtiari, you just took care of Kenny Clark, you just took care of Aaron Jones. Like, Jair Alexander's going to get taken care of. Like, you just drafted a quarterback, so is Aaron Rodgers. That's probably going to be the next guy. They don't necessarily have the next Davante Adams on the roster, and I think that's maybe a little bit of a different story there, but ultimately, the Packers, I really think, wanted to go all in this season, do a last dance sort of thing, and then sort of do a soft reboot next offseason. And when I say soft reboot, probably a pretty hardcore reboot with probably moving on from Aaron Rodgers in 2022. So if Rodgers and Adams are actually doing a last dance one last year in Green Bay, they're kind of giving Green Bay exactly what they wanted, especially if they're able to trade Rodgers next offseason for a ton of picks. So that's interesting that if they've been upset this whole time that they're basically, again, giving in to what Green Bay wants is interesting. To the idea that in some way that this is totally in their hands isn't exactly correct either. Going into, it's not like Rodgers is in the last year of his deal. Like, Rodgers is signed for an extended period of time. This could be a whole nother issue if Rodgers plays out this season and says, I'll play one more year and then I'm done. The Packers next offseason can go, wait, not so fast. We still have your rights. It could be another issue next offseason, which I think we're all ready to say, no, let's not do that. I've had enough this offseason, but it could be an issue next offseason. And the Packers could do the same with Davante. They could franchise him. I don't think a franchise tag is feasible based on where they're at contractually. So, Rodgers could be much more, I guess, putting the pressure on the Packers next offseason to say, I am not playing, you will trade me, and be much more aggressive about it. And again, the Packers financially may not be able to do a franchise tag, so Adams could just say, I'm out of here. And I'm not saying either of these things are necessarily going to happen, but it is interesting that if Rodgers and Adams came to this conclusion of, we're going to do a last dance, it's not quite that simple. Now, it would be interesting if before doing so, Rodgers talked with the Packers and said, listen, I know what you want is to do one more year, go all in, try to win a Super Bowl, and then burn things down. I talked to Devontae. Him and I are all in on this season, but you've got to guarantee you don't franchise Devontae, and and you let him go to another team, and I get to seek out a trade to a team that I want next offseason, or you redo my contract and I become a free agent. I don't think that's going to happen, that second part, but it would be interesting if they went to Green Bay and said, we'll compromise, we'll play this season out, but we're both gone next season. What would Green Bay say in that situation? It's kind of what they wanted from the beginning, so it seems. So maybe they take that. But it's a totally different dynamic here. There's also the whole fact that, Perry Goldstein, amongst others, pointed out that, if you're going to, use a meme like The Last Dance, maybe not quite so fitting when that team had won 5 prior championships with those two players, Pippen and Jordan specifically, and they were going for their 6th championship. Adams and Rodgers together, combined. Obviously, the Rodgers has won, but not when they've been on the same team. They went to back-to-back NFC championship games and obviously lost both of those games. So the whole thing is interesting, and I think for the most part, it didn't get. I don't know. The response once again was mixed, right? There's a lot of people that were excited about the fact that maybe this means Rodgers is coming back for one more season, that Adams will be back for a season, and a lot of Packer fans will get to kind of rejoice and say, we're good with that, or I'll take what I can get, and we'll play one more season out, and I'll get to at least enjoy Aaron Rodgers one more time in a Packers uniform. So, I think a lot of people are there. I think a lot of other people just kind of sick of the cryptic tweets and staying silent, not really saying anything. I don't know. It's always somewhere in the middle, right? But that's where people are tending to lean, it seems like, is one of those two sides at the moment. So that was the one big thing that happened. Of course, I had to say if Jordan and Pippen are the last dance, that means Rodgers and Adams are the last polka. We got to make this Wisconsin themed. Also, Bobby Tunyon came out and posted Dennis Rodman on his Instagram feed, which just chef kiss, fantastic way to go, Bobby Tunyon. And then there's other cryptic tweets that came out. I think MBS had one, and I'm just said, at this point, the next Packer to make a cryptic tweet is gone. They're out. We're done with the cryptic tweets. Training camp starts on Wednesday. Let's just get there. Let's see who's there. Let's see who's not, and go on from there. I am so ready to be at training camp on Wednesday and actually, talk about and report on what I saw at training camp and actual real football stuff. So cannot freaking wait for that. No, this offseason can just be done a million times over. Thank you so much to the Milwaukee Bucks for being a incredible distraction, and obviously much more than a distraction, but just not having to pay attention to all of this 24/7 and getting to enjoy something like a championship run was obviously phenomenal. But man, this offseason can again be done with forever and never have anything like this happen ever again. Because, oh, by the way, Pro Football Talk reports on Saturday that Zadarius Smith is also unhappy with his contract. He's unhappy with the fact that his contract had the ability to, for the Packers to make adjustments to it without his consent. And again, he's looking at another scenario where he sees the same thing that Rodgers and Adams do, where there's only so much money next year. There's no money next year. There's no way that the Packers are going to be able to keep Zadarius at his current contract. So, Zadarius Smith has said he wants to, retire and be a Green Bay Packer for life. The way that his contract is set up next year makes that near impossible. So they're either going to have to renegotiate or do something, which I think, probably Zadarius just wants this done and say, hey, just let's sign a long-term deal and get this done. And that's not happening. So there seems to be some frustration, again, per Pro Football Talk, which it's Florio, so whatever. But if this is true too, again, we're at the mercy of those who are reporting on this. And in most cases, through the last however many years you followed football, you would have taken these sources at their word. But if they're all true, that means Rodgers, Adams, and Zadarius all have some level of angst or frustration with the Green Bay Packers, which is, of course, an absolute nightmare if true. Now, Zadarius, more of a contract issue that, again, can be worked out over time. Potentially Devontae Adams, same thing. Rodgers seems to be the real major issue here, and we'll see what happens this upcoming week. But that's a major concern. If you've got really the three of the top leaders, captains, whatever you want to call them, the most influential players, three of the most influential players in that locker room that are upset with upper management and upset with the team, if true, that's not great. I mean, that's, again, what I talked about is this whole offseason is, it's one thing for Rodgers to be upset if his unhappiness and unease with upper management spreads player by player, and there's more frustration and there's more divisiveness and everything like that. That is a major problem. And I'm not saying that's what takes place. That's not what's taking place. I don't know. I'm not there. I'm not privy to the conversations between Rodgers and Adams or others. And frankly, they all three could be individual, right? But if you start seeing more and more of this crop up where players are unsatisfied with being a Green Bay Packer, that is a major issue. And we'll talk more on that, I'm sure, in the coming days. But Green Bay has a lot of, they've got a lot of, I guess not a lot of time, but they've got time left still to figure this out before the season starts. And the weird thing is that Green Bay still has a tremendous amount of talent that's on the 90-man roster right now. That includes Rodgers and Adams and Za'Darius, amongst a plethora of other talented players. With Matt LaFleur and a team that could buy in together, and maybe they go all in to try to win this, so the players, to try to win this Super Bowl and stick it to management and show it's about the players or whatever. Who knows, right? This is going to be a wild ride of a rest of an offseason and upcoming season, and just buckle in, because there are scenarios where the Packers get another Super Bowl win with Aaron Rodgers, and there's scenarios where Blake Bortles is a starting quarterback at some point this season. Like, that is the insane divergence of, no pun intended, of different scenarios that are potential here, that are possible here for the Packers this upcoming season. And anything in between all of that, none of it would surprise me based on where we're at. So we've had the Last Dance tweets. We've had, Bobby Tunyon making a Dennis Rodman Instagram post. We had another post of Rodgers and Bakhtiari working out together again, which I think would mostly be a good sign, right? And we had the Pro Football Talk. Za'Darius Smith is unhappy. We also had a couple roster moves. Packers placed Patrick Taylor on the PUP list. That's unexpected. He practiced in mini camps and OTAs and looked great. This is the last thing you want for Patrick Taylor right now, who's in the fight for the number 3 running back spot. He's a very interesting player who's, very talented coming out of Memphis, and you want to see him healthy, ready to go day one. This puts Green Bay down to 4 running backs if Taylor's not able to start training camp. Now, if they think it's going to be like a week or less or whatever, like, not a big deal, right? You just go with what you have. But with Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon, Dexter Williams, and Kylan Hill, you've only got 4 running backs in camp that are healthy to start training camp. So it'll be interesting to see if Green Bay adds just a running. Like, it doesn't have to be like, you don't have to sign some big name running back to come in to replace Patrick Taylor, but just another running back to have in camp to put back there, because otherwise you can start to run out of bodies pretty quickly. Especially there's times where, like, you're on 2 separate areas of the field, going, practicing. You need, both sides could run double running back sets. Like, you get pretty thin pretty quick, especially if somebody would go down and practice with an injury. So it wouldn't shock me if they picked up another running back, but more importantly, you want to see Patrick Taylor get back ready to practice sooner rather than later. And then the Packers also placed Ray Wilborn, linebacker, on the reserve COVID-19 list. That doesn't necessarily mean that he has COVID, but that he may have been exposed to it. So not a great sign there, but hopefully nothing major. Hopefully Ray is in good health and good spirits, and he can return to the team sooner rather than later. So I think that just about does it. I don't even know what else to talk about other than the fact that I am so happy Wednesday is almost here, and that I will be at training camp watching the Green Bay Packers in, not pads, but whatever, shells, helmets, and just seeing football again, and to get rid of hopefully all the drama and just see what happens and who's there, and actually report again on actual football. Bring it to me. I am ready. I can't wait. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already, because I'm going to be here talking about training camp every day. I will have been there, so you're going to want to make sure to check those out. Again, I'll be right back here tomorrow, but until next time, and as always, go Pack Go.